everyone, this is ML Reads back with Chapter 4 of The Elementalists Book 1 by Pixelberry Studios Choices. Now, if you would like to watch any of the other episodes, I will link the main playlist in the description. And for the rest of us, let's get started with Chapter 4, Judgement Day. Time to face the music. How will your first meeting with the Dean go? Continue playing. Here is our beautiful title screen, as always. So, Chapter 4, Judgement Day. So what's happened so far? Eli and Beckett got into an accidental fight in their very first class of the semester, and now they got sent to the Dean's office. It's the morning of your third day at Pendergast College of Elemental Magics, and you're already in trouble. You pace back and forth in front of Dean Golf's office, dreading entering and facing the possibility of being expelled. Eli, I can't believe this is happening. You jump at a shuffling sound from the end of the hall and straighten up, thinking it might be the Dean. But you deflate as Beckett rounds the corner. Beckett, I'm surprised you made it here before me. I assumed you'd get lost, what with how sad and inept you are. Eli, you're the one who got us into this mess. Beckett, me? How do you possibly figure? Eli, it's because you made me lose focus, threw a fireball at me, or are so distractingly cute. I mean, they're in a fight. I'm not gonna just randomly tell him that he's cute. It's because you made me lose focus. I was doing just fine keeping a handle on my flame until you had to open your big mouth. Beckett, oh please, don't blame me for your lack of control. Eli, what is that supposed to mean? Listen here, you little... A loud click draws your attention, and you look over to see Dean Golf standing in the doorway of her office. Dean Golf. Ah, you two must be the pair that Professor England was referring to. Beckett straightens up immediately, smoothing out his coat and running a hand over the Pendergast crest on his chest. Beckett, yes, Dean Golf, we are, and may I just say how truly and absolutely sorry I am for any and all of my actions. The Dean stares at him until his smile fades and his face turns a deep red. Then she turns her gaze toward you, appraising you with a look you can't quite place. Dean Golf. Come in, both of you. Let's get this over with. You and Beckett take seats across from Dean Golf's ostentatious desk. Dean Golf. Before we get started, allow me to say that I don't care who started this. I'm greatly disappointed in the both of you. Mr. Harrington, I had extremely high hopes for you. As a student, what with your family's reputation? Beckett hangs his head. He grips his knees tightly, knuckles turning white. Eli, I should take the blame or stay quiet. Oh, I'll be nice. I should take the blame. Eli, Dean Golf, please don't be too hard on him. I really did start all of this. The Dean turns sharply toward you and you force yourself not to shrink away. Dean Golf. I appreciate your candor, Ms. Russell, but it doesn't excuse Mr. Harrington's actions in this. Next to you, Beckett's grip relaxes just a bit. Dean Golf. Mr. Harrington, considering your excellent transcripts and undeniable potential, you will not be expelled today. You feel the tension shift as Beckett exhales. Beckett, thank you, ma'am. You won't regret. The Dean holds up her hand to quiet him and turns her burning gaze onto you. Dean Golf, you, however, seemingly came out of nowhere and think that Pendergast's rules don't apply to you, Eli, no, of course not, that's... Beckett, excuse me, Dean Golf, but it was an accident. A spell gone awry that got blown out of proportion. Your eyes widen as you look over at Beckett, but he doesn't look in your direction. The Dean steeples her fingers and is silent for a moment. Dean Golf. Lucky for you, Eli, someone has already made a case for you to stay. One a bit more compelling than Mr. Harrington's. Eli. But wait, I'm not expelled? Or who would do that? Who would do that? Dean Golf. Someone who apparently cares whether or not you continue your education here. But I want to make sure you know the severity of your actions. Both of you will be required to put in school service hours as punishment. Beckett. Of course, absolutely, whatever we have to do. Dingolf, so be it. Arrive at the library at 8 this evening to receive your assignments. Eli, thank you so much, Dingolf. Really, I promise you this won't happen again. Dingolf, it had better not. I'm not a woman known for second chances, and you can expect that any further incidents will result in expulsion. Do I make myself clear? You and Beckett both nod as an uncomfortable silence drifts over the three of you. Dingolf, well, what are you waiting for? Leave! Without another word, you and Beckett gather your things and leave her office. Eli, I can't believe we made it out of there in one piece. That woman is terrifying. Beckett, that woman is a genius, a real savant of the current magical education landscape. And 100% the scariest person I've ever met. You laugh, relieved now that there's no impending threat of expulsion, and Beckett fights a smile. As your laughter dies away, Beckett clears his throat, straightening. Beckett, I should go. My next class starts pretty soon. I'll see you later, I suppose. Eli, right, sure. As you watch him walk down the hall, you see a curious face, surrounded by a nest of wild hair, peering at you from around the corner of a side hallway. And it's this woman with black curly hair and a red scarf. Eli, is she a teacher? As you start to walk toward her, she disappears behind the wall. And when you finally reach the spot, she's gone. Who was that? Later that day, you head to the greenhouse for your first natural studies class with Professor Kontos. You take an open seat next to Shreya. Behind you, the majority of the floor space is taken up by something about hip height, covered in a tarp. Before you can ask about it, Shreya draws your attention back. Shreya, there you are! I assume that since you're here, you're not expelled? Eli, yeah, and then Beckett totally vouched for me, or I think one of the professors helped me out. We're gonna go with, yeah, Beckett totally vouched for me. Shreya, Harrington? That's a shock. He seems like quite the stuck-up little brat. Eli, maybe he had a change of heart? Really, I'm not going to question it. I never expected to be at Pendergast, but I can't just leave, you know what I mean? Yeah, I love how she just goes here now. Shreya, it seems like magic is starting to grow on you. Eli, it's not just that. I got this letter from my parents this morning. Well, I guess it's an email? Shreya, right. The attuneless communication system at Pendergast is fully automated and state-of-the-art. It only records incoming messages, but it filters and sorts them before transcribing them on these little cards. Eli, you know a lot about it. Shreya, Mystery Inc. has an attuneless product line, and we use a similar system. What did the letter say? You hand her a folded paper from your bag. Shreya. And then Shreya's like reading the letter. Eli, we hope school is going well. Don't forget to check in from time to time. Your father and I know you're probably living it up, so we won't bug you too much. Just remember we love you and are so incredibly proud. Shreya, this is Hallmark level stuff. I'm tearing up a little bit. So Eli's parents know that she goes to Pendergast now? Eli, I know, right? I can't let them down. Heartfield wasn't working for me, but Pendergast, it's different here. It feels so right. Professor Kontos comes through the greenhouse door, straightening his vest. Professor Kontos. Good morning, class. Settle in, please. We're going to start the year off with a very special and exciting lecture today. Eli, what do you think's under the tarp? Shreya, I just hope it's not another giant fly trap. I swear the one by the door sniffed me on the way in. Ew, she shudders, and you laugh to yourself before turning back to Professor Kontos. Professor Kontos, today's lesson is about one of the most important things an attuned will ever learn. Companion magic. Excited whispering instantly fills the classroom. You turn and see the tarp behind you rippling a bit, like something behind it is breathing. Eli, what's companion magic? Professor Kontos, as most of you know, many spells can only be cast when an attuned combines their magic with that of another magical being. Now, if there aren't any other attuned around, you can find yourself in quite a situation if the need to do companion magic arises. And so... He strides across the room purposefully. He whips the tarp off of 3 fenced-in squares of space on the floor, and inside... there are these cute animals. Oh, so exciting. Okay, so you've got this like puppy. This one's the cutest. And then you've got this little sea dragon, air dragon flying thing. And then, no, wait, this one's cuter. And then you've got like a toad. Toads are also cute. Eli, oh my god. The class leans in closer, craning to get a better look at the creatures. Professor Kontos, these are just a few of the magical creatures that hold enough potential to channel companion magic. We call them familiars. The Arylu is a fierce and independent companion. Build its trust though, and it will fight for you tooth and nail, even when no magic is required. Ooh. One of the small puppy-like creatures yips cheerfully. It chases its tail before disappearing into thin air and reappearing a few feet away. Arylu. Arr? So cute. Professor Kontos, the Lumian is wary of danger and will alert you at the first sign of trouble, making them highly prized as both guards and companions. One of the elegant, serpentine creatures coos softly and coils around itself. As its wings rustle, the air around it ripples as though charged with energy. Lumian. I don't know how to do that sound, sorry. Professor Kontos. And lastly, the Gorgue, a simple but effective creature, though they have a tendency to be quite stubborn. Professor Kontos points to the last enclosure. At first glance, it appears to be full of lifeless rocks, until you notice one of those rocks is breathing. Gorgue. Professor Kontos. My friends at Companion Breeding Co. sent us over a fresh litter for all of you to choose from, so please, make a neat line. Everyone jostles each other on their way to the back, pushing and squeezing as they try to be first in line. Eli, this is so cool! Which one are you going to get? Shreya, I've had my heart set on a Lumian since I was a young girl. They're such regal creatures. What about you? Tutorial. You're about to choose your familiar. Choose carefully, as this companion will be with you for the duration of your studies at Pendergast. Okay, so as you can see, the Gorgue is the standard or regular option, or the free option, and then the Lumian and the Arylu are the two premium options. Now, in my very first playthrough, I couldn't afford the premium options, so I had to get the Gorgue. And then about halfway through that playthrough, I started again and got one of the premium options. Just because I wanted to, that's when I decided I wanted to get all of the spells and all of the desk items, so I started again. And then I got the Arylu for that playthrough. However, don't be disappointed if you can only afford the Gorgue, because even though it seems like, it is a little bit dumb and not as cool as the premium options, but it fights for you just as much and it helps you out, and it grows on you after a while. So yeah, he's cool too. But anyway, for this playthrough, I'm gonna go with my puppy, the Arylu. Familiar chosen. You picked an Arylu as your familiar. Arylu. Aru! Yay! So cute. Professor Kontos. Excellent choice. Yes, it is. Thank you. Professor Kontos reaches down and lifts out one of the small dog-like creatures. He puts it into your arms. Professor Kontos. Now, what would you like to name him? And I'm just going to stick with the default name because I am very terrible at picking names. So this one is Butterball. Eli. You look like a Butterball, don't you, boy? Butterball gives a little yelp and scrambles up to your chest to lick your face. His tongue leaves an icy trail on your skin. Butterball. Aroo! Professor Kontos. Take the rest of the class to get acquainted with your new friend, and remember, a familiar is not a pet, it's a partner. If you want them to put their trust in you, you must do the same. With that, Professor Kontos wanders back to his desk, while the rest of the class coos loudly over their new familiars. Yay, puppy time, Eli. I can't believe this. Shreya, I know, I've always wanted a Lumian, but my mother said the only way an animal was coming into our house was in a garment bag. Oh my goodness. Her new Lumian squawks, gliding behind her and peeking over her shoulder. Shreya, oh, don't worry, my little Chi-Chi. My mother is nowhere close to here, and I would never let her hurt you. Eli, Chi-Chi? Shreya, it's a nickname, short for Gucci, because my Lumian is just as iconic. Well, she's not wrong. The Lumian is the familiar that's on the front cover of this book. Anyway, On the floor next to you, Butterball scratches his ear with his back foot. As he does so, a small snow flurry kicks up around him. Butterball, oh? So his element is like ice? You reach down and pick him up, nuzzling into his fur and avoiding the rigid spines on his back. Eli, I hope I'm good at this. I've never really had to take care of anything other than myself, and even that's kind of iffy at times. Shreya, I'm sure you'll be fine. Just remember. Shreya's face gets serious as she imitates Professor Kontos's voice. Shreya, a familiar is not a pet, it's a partner. You both laugh and spend the rest of class getting to know your new familiars. That night, you enter the sprawling Pendergast library for your school services assignment. You take a moment to appreciate your surroundings. And you're in this cool library with these massive pillars and several floors and a chandelier, and there's books flying around everywhere. You spot Beckett toward the back of the library, surrounded by a table full of books. You head over to him. Eli, hey, I'm not late, am I? Beckett, no, I was already here. He glances up at you, eyes narrowing when he spots Butterball in your arms, before turning back to the book in front of him. Beckett, familiars aren't allowed in the library. Did you not read the sign? Eli, oh, I guess I'll just bring little Butterball up to my room. Beckett, don't be silly. Just tell him to go off to the other. Eli, You look down at Butterball. Eli, go to the other? Butterball, ruff, and then he instantly Butterball disappears. Eli, where'd he go? Beckett, don't worry, he'll come when you call, and he'll be perfectly happy there with all the other off-duty familiars. He snaps the book he was reading closed and stands up. Eli, so, what were you reading? There's got to be so much great study material in here. Beckett scoffs at you. Beckett, I'm here to complete my school service hours, not start a book club with you. Eli, right. You glare silently at each other for a few moments. Beckett, I got our service assignment from Mr. Corningstrip, the librarian. We're supposed to reshelve the attuned history section from 1300 to 1350. Eli, that doesn't sound terrible. It's only 50 years. Where's that section? He points down the nearest aisle, which stretches on and on into the dark recesses of the library. Beckett, it goes all the way down. Eli, I see. But at least all we have to do is put some books in the right place. He gestures upward to the dozens of books flapping around near the ceiling like birds. Eli, oh, good point. Beckett, let's get to work, shall we? And I guess this is a time pass? An hour later, you stand in the aisle with your back to Beckett. You slot yet another book into the shelf in front of you, only to have the one next to it get up and fly away. Eli, this is torture. Beckett, tell me about it. This is making even me hate the library. There's a brief silence, and you turn around, leaning against the shelf behind you. You watch Beckett's back as he shelves a book effortlessly, and then another. Eli, so, this morning in Golf's office, you vouched for me. Beckett, yeah, so what? Eli, so I want to, and then the options are say thank you, or ask why, or repay you. We're going to say, so I want to say thank you. I know the dean said it didn't change anything, but it did for me, so thanks. Beckett doesn't turn, but you see his ears grow a little red. Beckett, well, don't get used to it. I was feeling generous. Besides, I figured I owed you one for telling the dean it wasn't my fault. Don't make a thing out of it. Eli, are you always like this? Beckett whirls around, his lip curling into a sneer. Beckett, like what, exactly? Eli, like this. Mean, spiteful. Not everyone is out to get you, you know. Yeah, he acts like a high schooler, even though they're supposed to be in uni. Beckett, obviously, I don't think that's the case. His brow creases as he frowns, struggling to find the words. Beckett, this is important to me. School, I mean. I have to do well. I have to excel. He turns his back to you and lifts his hands. A small whirlwind appears overhead, drawing in all the nearby books still flying through the air. Beckett, I have to be the best. Eli, but why? This place is incredible. Isn't it enough to just be here? Beckett, I wish it were, but no. If I don't graduate top of my class or win the Attuned Magicae Eurytus Award, what's the point? Eli, a stellar education, making lifelong connections, the college experience? You watch the book struggling against the air current Beckett created. One manages to slip through, losing a page or two in the process. Beckett's lip quirks, and for a second you think he might smile. He doesn't. Beckett, you wouldn't understand. I'll be back. I have to hunt that book down. Tutorial, here's your chance to get to know Beckett better and maybe become friends. So here we have a premium option scene, and we're going to take a break before we jump into it. I hope you're enjoying this so far, and I will be back with you very shortly. See you soon.